welcome to today's video. So, what's interesting about Battle Network 5's ELOs is that they're surprisingly close. Unlike Battle Network 4, which, for Battle Network 4, everything was so distant. You had some guys that were like 1500, you had other Navis that were 1900, you had some Navis like Base, which are 3000, and as you're about to find out, the top two are a far cry from everyone else. Let's get started. Shadowman. Shadowman is pretty strong. If I'm not mistaken, he has a roughly 46% win rate. Well, in this case it's 52%. That's very good. With an ELO of about 1400, yeah, 1446. I'd say he would go somewhere around B. Base, he needs no introduction. As many of you can imagine, he's the strongest Navi in this game by far. No competition, no questions asked. In this case, his ELO was 3136, and I believe I'd explained this in the previous video, that there are two types of ELO. There's the randomized ELO, and then there's the more competitive one, which the ELOs are matched between they're matched with someone that's a very similar ELO to the Navi, with the difference of up to 200 ELO. And in this case, for Battle Network 5, so these are the randomized ELOs. They're really not all that different. I think that's very intriguing. Lizardman. He had some niche matchups. Overall, his performance was quite good. B tier, 1434 ELO. Cloudman. This guy looks like a Genghis Khan on a thundercloud. He is the top 3 Navis one of the top 3 Navis in this game. And I was really shocked, no pun intended, how strong he was. He had a basic win rate of about 80%. And his competitive win rate, let's see, is 56%. With an ELO of 1764. So something about the competitive ELO algorithm is that the ELOs are much more important, whereas in the randomized ELO algorithm, the ELOs don't really seem to be, they are indicative of their place in the dominance hierarchy, of the Navi's place in the dominance hierarchy, but it's a subset of the win rate. The win rate is more important in the randomized ELO. So this guy goes in S. Colonel was very strong. He had a win rate of over 50% originally. Let's look at the competitive. 58% win rate with an ELO of 1633. That's really good. In this case, he's S. I don't know if he belongs in S. I'd say he's more like an A. Cosmoman, I believe he's top 4, top 5. Let's see how he did in the competitive ELO. 1548 with a competitive win rate of 63%. And then the randomized algorithm, 1602 ELO with the win rate of 62%. Very interesting. I'd put him right around where Colonel is. Though really, I feel that he should be in front of Colonel, given that he has a higher win rate competitively. He probably just fought some bad matchups. Overall though, Cosmoman had a higher win rate than Colonel. So this is just a little bit strange to see. Gridman. I'm not really a fan of his design. 1425 ELO with a 45% competitive win rate. I'd say he falls around B. Knightman, he was really strong because of his solid body ability. He had a win rate of around 61%, 61.5% if I'm not mistaken. Let's look at his competitive ELO. 1443 with a 62% competitive win rate. That's kind of low. And the randomized, he's 1573 ELO. I think he belongs in upper B, in my opinion. Let's see. Larkman, he was really strong. He's just like a standard strong Navi. 1484 ELO with a competitive win rate of 57%. B. Magnetman. He had like a 48% win rate if I'm not mistaken. Let's look at his competitive ELO. $15.05 with a 47% win rate. Okay. B. Maddie is terrible. She's the worst Navi in the game. Goes in D. But even then, I think she still managed to have like a 20% win rate or something. Let's see. 22% win rate, competitive, and 5% win rate randomized. Napalm, man, he was really strong. He had a 55% win rate. His competitive ELO. $16.16 with the 58% win rate. Okay. Napalm Man is strong, and his Vulcans are really good, but in my opinion, he's not as strong as he was in Battle Network 2. At least in terms of CPU versus, he's not as strong as he used to be. Nebula Gray, as many of you can imagine, S+. Way too strong to be an S, but not strong enough to be base. And just like the previous game, Battle Network 4, he's just like Duo. His ELO is 2350. It's going to be really interesting to see Duo fight Nebula Gray. Personally, I felt like Nebula Gray is the more evil Navi. Well, at least his design's definitely a lot more evil. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting when they fight, when I eventually get to it, but that won't be for a while. Numberman, I think he had like a 22% win rate, randomized, something like that. But let's look at his competitive. Oh, he did pretty bad, 1134 ELO with a 30% win rate. Randomized, 1240 with a 19% win rate. Damn. C tier. Toadman, he's a standard good Navi. 1469 ELO with a 43% win rate. Like somewhere around here, somewhere in B. Though really, I feel like I should base it more off of their competitive win rate, because it's possible that they're just getting matched up against some Navi that they have a negative matchup against. I'd say overall, Battle Network 5 was quite balanced in terms of its CPU versus, and we could see that in these with with these flattened values, you could see that. And originally, I was thinking of just estimating the ELOs. I wasn't even thinking about creating the key value pairs to look at the ELOs, and now I'm glad that I did that, because this ELO hierarchy for Battle Network 5 is totally different than Battle Network 4. It's a lot more balanced, and I wonder what 6 is going to be like. Searchman, he was a lot weaker this game. Let's see. 1072 ELO with a 37% competitive win rate. Yeah, that's pretty bad. D tier. Shademan, I think he was a bit strong this game. 1570 ELO, that's good, with a 46% win rate. I'd say at the top of B. All these guys are kinda... This is somewhat ambiguous. Somewhat. Though if you had something like Blizzardman fight Magnetman will win 100 out of 100 times. Guaranteed. Shadowman, he was strong. $1369 competitive ELO with a 54% competitive win rate. At the bottom of B. Toadman. 1361 ELO with a 42% competitive win rate. Basically the same as Shadowman. Tomahawkman was interesting. So this right here is a mistake. Tomahawkman's the last Navi we're gonna rank. He's really interesting because he has super armor, he can heal himself, and at times he has invulnerability, he does great damage. I thought he was a really stellar Navi, but he only had an overall win rate of 46%. So when I say overall win rates, what I mean is, once I had the Navis fight each other, there was like an overall win rate that wasn't computed by the software. But that overall win rate was integrated with software to determine a flattened value for the hierarchy. So let's look at that flattened value for Tomahawkman. 1337 with the 48% win rate. Pretty disappointing. So technically this guy falls at the tail end of B tier. And that's pretty much it. This hierarchy was really balanced, surprisingly. There isn't too much else to say. Not a whole lot of S tiers. I think if we base this off the competitive win rate, this would change a bit. So originally, Cosmoman, Knightman, who else? Napalm. These guys had really high win rates, like over 50%, some cases over 60%. Perhaps ELO isn't the main determinant for the dominance hierarchy. It really just is the win rate, because the win rate seems to be creating a much more distinct dominance hierarchy. Perhaps we should change it based on that. So Cosmoman would probably go in S tier because he has like a 60% win rate. Colonel would be in S tier. What about Cloudman? Well, Cloudman definitely belongs in S tier. He may have fought Nebula, and that may have decreased his win rate a bit. And then you could have like some Navis like Shadowman go into A tier. Because when I look at this ELO ranking, this is not really how I feel about it. I'm just going off of the ELOs. So we should technically move Cosmoman to S. Let's see who else had a 60% plus win rate. Knightman should be moved to S. Let's see. And this seems to conform more with the randomized win rates as well. Colonel should be moved to S. Move Shadowman to A. Larkman should probably be S. Like low S, maybe low to mid S. And I think the rest is around where it should be at. Let me just make sure. Move Jaraman to A, move Napalman to S. Yeah, and that makes a lot more sense based on what I saw when I was observing Navis. Yeah, thank you for watching the video. Live Virus is almost complete and we are going to be ready for the last batch of Navis, which is only 3, but I'm going to be adding a guest Navi from Battle Network 3 for important reasons. And after Battle Network 1 CPU versus is complete, I'm going to work on a machine learning video related to Gundam Battle Assault 2. It should be interesting, and I think it's going to be pretty challenging to make, but we'll get through it hopefully. Thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.